up?
We can't see it. Porting over, porterling right over.
You've got connection.
Hello. What up, everybody? And get these windows up.
Oh, look at him. The notification popped up on the top. You are live.
Bing.
Yep.
I hope everybody's well. Let's see.
Yep.
Boom, I got it up. We got it. Popping out this. We had a couple channel members on here a little while ago. We were getting the pre-game, the pre-show, which is fun. Oh, here's Dorothy and Toto. Another crew member. We're all here. We're hooked up. There we go. Hey, Cliffy. Hey, BP. What's up? What up?
Meeting is live streamed. What's up, guys?
The meeting is live streamed.
Meeting is live streamed.
Good evening, folks. Howdy.
Great man's back.
Hey.
What up, Ray?
I want to
What's
know who out there who's got them new duties. I want to talk new duties. I want to talk 22s. We're gonna talk.
You said duty.
We're gonna talk undercoating. Yeah.
Duty.
Yep. Ford Boss has got some experience in it. Ford Bossy's got some experience. And we were just talking about something that's kind of controversial. When you go in to get a service, do you request a drain and fill, or as some call it, the suck and blow, the evacuating system? Suck, squeeze, bang, blow. That's the four-stage process. So we're going to talk about that, how you guys feel about it. What do you expect when you bring your truck in for service, or, your car, whatever you got. Jub, what up? Hope you're liking the high idle. Just did another one, 11-16. Totally liking it. I think you guys are going to be digging that. We can talk 7.3 gassers. We could talk 7.3 gassers. Nothing wrong with them. We like them too.
Let's talk about liability for theft and liability for damage to customer's vehicle while at the dealer.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Sensitive topic.
EYA.
What's been up with you guys? Everybody good this week so far? DS undergoing some surgery on his electrical system.
Yes,
We hear he's got that all solved and resolved, right?
So how bad was the carnage on that harness?
Nothing totally cut through.
All right,
Some
cool.
sheathing and one, maybe like 2 wires where the copper was a little bit compromised.
Okay.
But no, everything got sealed up real nice and
Good deal. Good deal.
I videoed the whole thing. I'm gonna post it.
Liquid
Nice.
electrical tape.
No. Actually, I can show you what I did if I can.
Did you do it like we had conversed?
No, I didn't, because you were saying cut the wires and stuff.
What'd you do?
I cut 2 of the wires, and because those ones were, it was a sheathing damage, or it was where there was actually copper missing. And the ones where there was actually a little bit of copper missing, I just cut it and crimped it with the connector, and then shrink it with the marine grade shrink wrap. On the ones where it was just sheathing, there was like 3 maybe that was just sheathing. I got some of that marine shrink wrap. I got like an extra big piece of it, like the extra fat one, and just cut it up the middle and wrapped it around a couple of times and held it there for a second and shrinked it. And the glue just took and they wrapped around it a few times and it just glued around it.
Guess another boo-boo is wanting to come in.
Oh, matter of fact, here it is right here. I did a test piece because I was like, I don't know if that's even gonna work. So I had to test it off the vehicle. And yeah, I mean, it's not nothing that you would want to look at, but you can't see this anyway, but you'll never get this off of here. And
Good.
it's got all that glue in it, so it should be.
As long as it ain't shorting out.
No, it's not showing nothing, and it's not showing copper or nothing. It's all.
What I've done is if I chafe a wire, but I don't cut through the copper, is I'll expose everything around it. Even if there's just a little bit of room, I'll try to move everything around it and get the wires that are exposed, but nothing's cut through. And I get that liquid electrical tape, and I'll give it some time to flash, and then give it like another 30 seconds, and again, I'll give it another 30 seconds, and I'll build up its own coating around it. And I'll let it flash each time, and I'll do that 3 or 4 times, and then I'll wrap it with cloth tape.
Interesting.
I like that. I like
Yeah,
that harness tape.
I've never seen the liquid electrical tape. I definitely need to get some of that.
It is magic, man. They even have it at Harbor Freight. It's so popular now, and a lot of guys in tight spots that don't have a lot of room to work. If you're just looking to recoat that and seal it back up, it works very, very well.
I've used
But
mastic
I
tape
will
a few
say,
times.
TC, Torquey Stokes. Torquey
I will
Strokes.
say though. Oh, look at
Oh,
that.
man. We appreciate you, buddy.
Stokes.
We got him.
I will say I spent more time messing with it. I could have just cut everyone that was a little bit chafed. I could have just cut the 5 or 6, I don't know, and just crimped them and been done quicker, I think.
Yeah.
But I wanted to experiment, so.
As long as it's not shorting out, that's all that matters. So
You guys
got it
ever use
back in, it's
mastic tape?
working.
Porky Strokes. I like that name.
Yeah, that's
Got a
pretty cool.
badass 6.7. Mastic tape? No, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, it's like you can get a little piece about this big and it'll stretch out to like,
Oh, really?
pretty big. And it's weatherproof. It's pretty good for when you're doing the outside. It doesn't work that well inside tight spaces, but
Yeah, I've
Oh,
heard
yeah.
it's supposed to be good stuff. Expensive, right?
yeah,
I'll see
for a
if I
roll,
can
it's like
send a
13
picture to
bucks.
Cody.
DTC. What's your DTC number? DTC? I like it. What's up, buddy?
What up?
We got Diesel Tech Chris in the house. Newly to YouTube. If you guys aren't following him, check him out because he's coming over. He's flowing from the TikTok side, and he's knee deep in them 6.7s just like we are. So we got another spot for you all to reach out. He's in the Indy area, so we're trying to get the U.S. covered. Got a West Coaster, a bunch of East Coasters. Got Flying Wrenches. If you guys don't know him, Flying Wrenches Automotive, check him out on YouTube. He's got the Alabama sector covered, and we got a bunch of Floridians. So
I get a bunch of people that ask me, like New York area. A lot of people ask me if we can find somebody and get somebody on here with us because they want to find somebody out in that area.
ooh, in New York. Okay. Don't have anybody that far East Coast yet.
I may know a guy. I'll reach out to him, see if he's interested.
Okay.
So
Excellent.
I'll let you know. I'll touch base with you on that one.
Excellent. So 22s. My coworker, proud of him today. He busted out a I should say 21, sorry. 20 to 22 is going to be the same, but it was a 21 Tremor and it needed an upper oil pan for whatever reason. The mating surface on the corner of the oil pan where the lower meets the upper by the oil filter. So that corner, you're between the transmission cooler and that area right by the radius arm and everything. So you're looking right at the corner of the oil pan and right at the silicone, you could start to see black oil. And it had already had a lower oil pan. And there's no way this lower oil pan is leaking again. And the gentleman who had resealed it is meticulous, does the prep wipes, does a good job, lets it sit, and it's like, okay, we know something's going on. So contacted Hotline, something that Ford boss, us, we all have to do. We know, the game we have to play, and inputting all that information. Well, they want us to put an upper oil pan on it, so that's what he had to do. But the kicker for the 20s is now we have to pull the engine because we can't take the upper oil pan and just slide it out like we used to. The oil pump hangs down into the lower or into the upper oil pan, so it makes it extremely difficult to continue the job like we were accustomed to. So I don't know if you guys have had any oil leaks on your 21s or 20s to 22s. I've heard a couple of them with just lower oil pan leaks. I personally had to do a valve cover on a 22 with like 4,000 miles. That was really weird. I don't know. I don't know. Really strange. And then to follow up with Ford Boss, that 22 I had with the 450 with the trailer, nothing wrong with the truck. We determined after checking everything out that there was something wrong with the trailer. And the customer concurred, and he has another same trailer. And I was given false information saying that it happens with the trailer not connected. That was false. So it made me that information. It told me, it was like there's something wrong with the truck. There's got to be something wrong with the truck. Is this BJB? It's like, do I replace the BJB or do I replace this? This 7-pin, 4-pin sleeve back there. Well, I'm glad we wound up didn't replacing any parts and was able to, come to the conclusion that his trailers, unfortunately the new ones, but well, who was I talking to with DS? Who was I talking to you about it? And some of these trailers, I don't know, there's no
there's
you know
Put together with scotch locks.
yeah, there's no I can't think of the word I want to say, but
well, you know how it is if you're talking to an advisor. If you're talking to an advisor, you're going to tell them, yeah, it does it. When the truck's not even on a trailer, you tell them stuff. I mean, sometimes
I never
people
really talked to the customer, so it was good that I wound up actually talking to him.
Oh, so that's where there was a miscommunication?
Yeah, I actually had saw him picking it up, and I wanted to stop and make contact with him. Appreciate his patience. I've had his truck for a week, truck and trailer. That's a moneymaker. And started talking to him, and gave him my synopsis real quick of what I did, and he was real appreciative, and didn't wasn't being hard to deal with whatsoever. So it was nice to hear some more information that I hadn't gotten right off the get-go, and it's kind of frustrating in scenarios such as that when you're trying to find out when we take a truck in, the first thing we have to do is verify the concern. And sometimes to paint the picture on why this is happening, it's like we need to have this and this and this and this and this, and then we make the repair plan. But when you're missing all these other links and you're trying to, join all these together, like what else does this have in common? Then come to find out that would have took you down a different fork in the road. It's sometimes talking to the customer, oh my gosh, I would rather talk to the customer. I would rather go outside and catch him before he leaves, because I want to ask him these other questions that maybe the service advisor doesn't. You almost have to interview him. You can't write down what the customer says. There should be like a little list of questions that you ask, and I'm sure seasoned.
There is.
Oh, I don't think I've taken that test.
There's a form they're supposed to fill out, but none of them do.
Well,
so did you figure out what was wrong with the trailer, or you just kind of sent it off to the trailer company, or?
that would have been on the customer.
Okay.
Rain Man Ray, 11.4 on all data. That is just crazy.
10.2 on STST
I want to
or
throw up.
SLT.
That can't be with cab removal though. Does upper oil pan include cab removal and all
Hold
that?
on. Says
I don't think it's specified.
seal bed plate, block, upper oil pan, remove and replace. When claiming this operation, da 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 da, and it just says includes
Include
time to
6
remove include time to remove engine from chassis.
Oh my God.
Cab off.
10-2.
It says includes cab off.
You get another half hour for oil diagnosis.
You know, no. I want to give you a gift. I want you to keep that half hour of diagnose. No. Take it. I want to help you. I want to help you save some greenbacks. I'm gonna do it on the house today. You can keep that. We're
Well,
good.
I mean, you probably could stretch it out to 12 hours with diagnosis and road
Oh,
tests. And
man. Well,
fun
rule
stuff.
number 1 is not to know what the job pays before you do it, because you're going to go through that whole job.
Knowing,
Let me find out at the end.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
I had to remind myself of that phenomenon this morning because I was writing ROs and I'm going, what? This only pays 1.8 hours? That's nonsense. So,
Right.
and then I go to do the work and I'm just like, man, I don't even want to do it for 1.8 hours. Like, this is crap. I can go do something else, and I just stopped and, reset the head, like stop thinking thinking that way. I learned years ago to not think that way with flat rate. And I found myself doing it again this morning and I'm like, yeah, we got to park that and put it away.
Wait. Watch it.
So to touch base on the trailer thing, Aaron, when me and you were talking about it, I was kind of going over the scenarios on most of the things that I've found is when that fuse pops in the BJB or that trailer. A lot of times I've found like inferior grounds or issues where there's buildup inside the lights and stuff like that, or the trailer wiring itself is what was causing it. That's why when we were talking, I was suggesting that more than likely something's wrong with the trailer and not the truck, because I've had testing equipment and stuff hooked up, or other trailers that I can hook up to that truck and everything's fine, but you hook up the customer's main trailer that he uses all the time and there's an issue with it, and then run all new grounds and stuff, or check power supply, check feed, make sure nothing's shorted together. 9 times out of 10 it's the trailer in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I found almost every single time.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't I mean, it was a new trailer. It was a badass trailer. I
Yeah.
opened up the inside, it was all nice wood shit, and I mean it looked decent,
it's-
but I went up
It's
top
interesting.
on
My-
all the rails, nothing, just what DS said. It was all scotch lock, just all the corners.
I got a nice short track. It's supposed to be a mid-grade trailer, obviously not the best, but not the worst. Man, the thinnest gauge wire across the whole trailer. I'm like, man. And I look at my little cheapy trailer, my cheap one, and it's got a little bit heavier gauge wire. So for whatever reason, if something was short, there were short parts or something, had to use cheaper parts or what. But
Yeah, that them dang wires. I like me a good electrical. I had a good electrical. I've been battling with a FedEx, a 19 F59 strip chassis FedEx vehicle, and Diesel Tech Chris, do you get the step fans? Do you get those at all?
Not anymore.
No.
No, not since I switched to my smaller dealer.
Word. Yeah, it was kind of a pain in the butt, but it was a good fuse that caused this whole issue. It was whack. But I have it out in the field right now as we speak, hopefully delivering your Christmas presents. So that'll be the true test.
been a bad boy.
It's been a bad boy.
Cool.
Yeah, they what is hands down a good coat for Super Duty frame? Well, that's one of the things I got right down. Ford Boss, before we went live, somebody made mention that you have a procedure for this?
For the frame stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's kind of one of those things where you like what you like, you don't like what you like. I've used different types of oils and stuff to coat frames. The best stuff that I've found so far is I don't like rubberized undercoating. I'm not a fan of it at all. Not taken away from the guys that do like it. I like oil-based undercoatings. There was a bunch of testing that was done by independent people that like to spray undercoatings, and Project Farm did a huge one when he actually looked at undercoatings. And one of the main things that he kept coming back to is people that were making their own motor oil type undercoating, where it was actually causing more rust in a lot of the situations. So spraying motor oil was not a good idea, like some of these landscaping companies and stuff like to do, because through his testing, he found that it was actually accelerating rust in certain areas, and it was not making the situation any better. I use a product called Blaster Surface Shield. It seems to cling to the surface a little bit more. There's ways that you can actually tint the surface shield, or you can buy it already tinted yourself. And I bought a French-made spray gun that I use at my shop away from work, and people will come out to me there, and I'll do my own vehicles and stuff with it. And it has a pine smell to it, not a pine smell, but like a wood smell to it. So if it does hit the exhaust or something like that, it doesn't leave a real rough smell. If you smell it in the car or the truck or something like that, it's actually kind of, I don't know. I like the smell of it. It's kind of pleasurable. And I will spray every place that I could possibly spray, just not getting it on the brakes or anything. And I'll cover the pinch well. I'll do everything up inside the frame if I can. I've got wands that I can extend off of the gun to get back in there. I don't typically do that, because if I do, it's that means my charge is gonna, most places charge between $300 and $500 depending on the service. But because I don't have any overhead and it's just rent that I pay there, I typically charge about $150 to $300. $300 being the top service, and that's through the frame rails and everything. And it typically takes me about 2.5 to 3 hours to do the deep coat where it's in the frame rails, the cross members. Normally it's about 45 minutes to an hour if I'm just doing like a winter protection, getting it coated for the winter. So next year, when they come back and see me, it's, sometimes a lot of that coating is still there. And now I've just cut my time down from an hour max to maybe a half hour at this point. I just need to go back and just recoat real quick. And a lot of times it'll actually build up on itself. And then you could go every other year. You don't have to do it every year. So there's a procedure. And I'm still getting my feet wet doing it. I've probably got about 30 vehicles under my belt so far. Really, to say that I'm a professional, I probably should double or triple that, but I know what I'm doing now. And I've learned all the little ins and outs of it. A lot of people use pump sprayers. You can go to a hardware store or something like that, and they'll just put their surface shield or their wool wax or something like that. Amsoil has their frame coatings and stuff as well. I'm sure Diaz can talk about that. He likes, don't they have a specific spray you like, Diaz?
Metal protector.
Or and Anthony can get you the stuff if you need it, or I know Aaron knows other people as well, but it works. The oil-based stuff is the way to go. I don't use any of that other crap. It's useless to me.
Hey, Rich, when you do these, you said you do about every year, year and a half or whatever. Does the salt and stuff up there in Illinois eat that stuff away? Like, because down here where I'm at, we don't have to deal with that stuff.
No,
So
it
it's
really
pretty interesting to me.
It doesn't really eat it away. It's to me, it's the amount of time that people are driving through like inclement weather when it comes to like slushy snow, and the bottom of the vehicle being coated with snow over and over and over and over again, especially if you're driving in deep snow and then real nasty areas where that water and slush and stuff is getting thrown around under there all the time. It pulls it away slowly. It's not perfect, and it does wick it off. It does fall off the vehicle easier if you have that surface shield and stuff done. But it's just over time it pulls it off, especially in real areas that get real slushy and snowy and stuff. It's just, it happens.
I mean, I
This
know
truck-
metal is porous, and obviously most of it soaks into the metal to protect it. But I was just curious about that because I've seen you do it live quite a few
And
times.
the way a lot of it works is I had a guy call me up before I even started this, and he said, "Look, I'm a follower of yours. He's probably in the live stream right now, and he said, I want to give you some education on this before you get started on this, because I feel like you've prepared me for a lot of my maintenance and stuff on my vehicles. I want to prepare you for what you're about to get yourself into with the service that you're going to provide for the customer. Now, understand that this process that you're going to go through, it's going to be a great protection to this customer's vehicle. It's going to be something that they're probably going to see you every year, every other year for. But if you spray this stuff on a vehicle that's highly rusty already with multiple layers, it's going to make that rust fall off that vehicle. But if it's real bad, it's going to make it all fall off to the point where there's probably going to be holes where there used to be at least some rust protecting certain areas. So it can make it worse before it gets better. Now,
That's interesting.
those are the services that I might look at somebody's vehicle and say, look, your frame's good, the center of your vehicle and everything's good. I'm going to try to keep this spray away from your rocker panels and stuff because you're starting to show multiple layers of rust there. If I get it on that, it's going to make that rust start to fall off. And if you don't do anything to stop it from getting further than that, like grind it out of there, whatever it may be, you could possibly create holes. Some of those jobs I might turn away because they're just way too rusty and I don't want to cause any further problems than what they're already dealing with.
What's it called again, this product?
The stuff I like to use is Blaster Surface Shield. It seems to cling to the surface much better than some of the stuff that's been out there already. But then again, that's speculation. That's guys that have been using all these products and they see it come back and how much is left. I sprayed my town car the first time after the winter, probably 70% of that was still there. By the end of the summer, I looked back at it again and I was like, man, it's 50% of this stuff is still here. And then went through another winter. Well, now the second winter, it's almost all gone. So now this year I'm going to respray the car again and really make sure I do it much heavier this time than last time.
Well, it's interesting
Jose.
if it eats away rubber or eats away rust. That's interesting.
Hey, Rich, I'm gonna
Jose,
send. sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Rick. Go ahead.
I was gonna
Go
tell
ahead.
Rich out. I was gonna tell Rich I'm gonna send him a couple of cans of that metal protector, just for him to try out on something. If that's
All right.
cool with you, Rich.
Well, yeah, it's cool. I like that power foam you sent me for that. I know we're not getting on that subject, but that power foam you sent me, that induction cleaner, that stuff worked really well, man. The idle kind of came up with the truck a little bit. The throttle response was smoother and stuff. I like that stuff.
I'm gonna send you a couple of cans of the metal protector. So
Does that Blaster Shield stay like pliable and malleable the whole time then, with it being an oil base?
So everybody said clean out your gun, shake your container, do all this other stuff because it could start to gel up or thicken up or something like that. Let me just tell you right now, I've never shaken the container, and it's pretty much just from carrying it from one location to the other and tipping it back and forth a few times, not shaking it. I've never cleaned out the gun, and I've never cleaned out any of my spray jugs because the stuff just doesn't harden. It doesn't rot. It's always, I could just dump the product in a gun from like a year ago that's never been cleaned out and just spray. It doesn't do anything to it.
It doesn't separate.
It's you would think with it being a chemical and other guys are warning you saying, oh, you might want to clean the gun out, every couple times you use it. I've never cleaned it out, and it's never got hard or never stopped the spray pattern, or it's always been very pliable, and I've never had any issue with it.
So what with the Amsoil form of this, I will say it does form a pretty good waxy kind of layer. It doesn't wash off very easily.
I
With
use
the
it for
HT
battery
metal.
terminals.
That's what you use on battery
That's a good-
terminals.
That's a good idea.
I use the AMSOIL metal protector on battery terminals.
That's a good idea.
And
But I'm
actually,
curious now about this
I did
product.
use it. I did use it on the back of brake pads. You know how you grease the back of brake pads? I did spray it on the back of some brake pads just to see. And so far, so good. So
Interesting.
I don't know.
Before I
could volunteer
forget,
to do that.
Jose Gomez has a good question, and I don't know if anybody else has been experiencing this, but you guys remember the unintended tailgate opening, I think 1952, maybe? My tailgate opened on its own twice while driving. Ugh, I was pulling a gooseneck trailer. Damn. Damage was caused while turning. Will Ford cover the tailgate damage? So
Yes.
in the recall, there is a special supplement to upload some pictures of the damage to the special what's SSC stand for? Whatever. We have a special thing we have to upload all this information to. And yes, I don't know how much, if they do everything, which I think they should, but there's a whole process and stuff that needs to be taken place in order for that all to transpire. So,
And get ready if you're going to drop that truck off, just like Aaron kind of tipped me off. And then I ended up receiving my first one in, and I was talking to the customer about it. And I was like,
yeah,
this process is like, if I'm going to have to go through this thing, you have to order a special harness. It has to get sent to you. And then fuse boxes have to come apart. Panels have to come apart. There's a lot of prep work that has to be done. You're running a harness across the dash, under the steering column, and mounting it
oh my
a
gosh.
certain way. It is a nightmare.
Speaking of SSSC, how did your 5 liters come out, Rich?
So the way it initially kicked off was, Brian got a hold of, he's our parts guy. He got a hold of SSSC. They said the warranty girl got a hold of the warranty help center. They said it wasn't their department to get a hold of SSSC. Then parts got a hold of SSSC. They said they can't give the approval on that. You have to get a hold of prior approval. So then they got a hold of prior approval. Prior approval finally got back and was like, look, to make the story short, it kind of looks like everything's compatible. And if you need to do what you have to do, I mean, you have to do what you have to do. I mean, so I was like, well, to me, that sounds like a yes without saying yes, or just get me everything. And they were like, okay, it's on its way. And then another tech seen us talking about it through video, and his manager and him opened up a thing, I guess a claim or some kind of communication chat with hotline. And then one of the hotline like supervisors or somebody, I guess, had a meeting with them and was like, look, just order the 3 gaseous prep engines that you need for the ones you're waiting on. Just do it, order them. So they got that taken care of, and all 3 of theirs, I guess either they got them already or they're on their way. So it worked out. It worked out. Having friends that know the industry and what's going on kind of pays to play. So
Sometimes you have to circumvent. Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do.
right.
Unfortunately,
When they're the same motor, just different upper end.
Yeah,
screw
different
it,
valve.
use it.
has anybody ever taken their truck into a shop, whether it's the dealer or a mom and pop store, whatever? Has it ever been damaged? Has anything ever been stolen out of your vehicle? What happened? What do you do? Who's responsible? Did you sign anything? Is your car written up? Was it on property? Was it inside the shop? Corporate eyebrow.
I like that.
What do you do?
It's on the shop.
So
Diesel
there's
Tech Chris, what do you do? What do you do if you're a customer and you bring your truck into the shop and you get it back and you see something that's not right? Do you say something? Do you go
Yeah,
back and talk to the service manager?
Oh yeah, I would.
Okay. Do you become an unruly customer and throw everything off the counters?
No.
I just saw a
no,
video
I
of that
wouldn't do
today.
That don't get you anywhere, man.
Man almighty.
We get you trespassed.
That would not be good.
Get you in the hospital.
Somebody damaged my rim. Okay.
I like that. Yeah, so there's a guy on social media. He does he's well known on TikTok. Chris probably knows who he is. you know, the guy that does the service writer stuff and talks about the industry, and he does like the little skits and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
So he brought up a recent topic where he just threw out a scenario where a customer came in, they made claims that there was a, you know, Mr. Customer, well, there was a pair of diamond earrings in the center console, and those earrings are gone, and you guys are going to pay for it. I'm gonna turn this dealership upside down. I'm gonna own this dealership by the time I'm done. And
Yeah.
he kind of talked about the situation, and I chimed in on it kind of a little bit more harsh, and I said, well, here's the reality of this. You can bring that vehicle in and you can lay any claim that you want out that something was stolen. First of all, there's cameras around the facility. If the cameras can't pick up somebody stealing something from that vehicle, now it's your word versus them. And do they damage the relationship they have with that technician that's making them money and fire them or you know, blame them for something and have no proof, not knowing if that technician did take something or not, or maybe a customer that was walking by the vehicle and had to go into the shop for some reason or whatever it may be. If that's not on camera, that's your word versus their word. And you came into that dealership, you signed a repair order when you relinquished that vehicle into the custody of that dealership. On the bottom of that repair order, there's a disclaimer that says, are you going to sign this, acknowledging the fact that if this vehicle becomes damaged, something is stolen, you're not going to get mad and upset that we can't get parts for your vehicle that are not available to us? There's a whole spiel on the end of it. And it's in small letters, and people don't read that. And then
In
they
ours,
sign
it
it.
even says something about not having coolant in it, damage to the engine from not having sufficient antifreeze due to the vehicle sitting or whatever, you know, whatever
Right.
the case is.
And
We'll
people
have a,
sign it.
we'll have a check mark that asks people if they want their old parts back.
Most of the time when I run into stuff like this, it's people just wanting something for free.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you want it for free, just ask.
Yeah.
Like,
If you
That's how you
don't,
gotta
if you
do
don't
it.
want it stolen, don't leave it in the car when you drop it off.
exactly.
Right.
I'm not going to go pull my car into a dealership and leave, $150 sitting in the console.
That's the same thing that I had. I had that little short, and it's like,
I
That's
have
going in my
seen
pocket.
cars where they deliberately put money somewhere
trust
where you
money.
might see it. Yeah, and it's $50 bills and $100 bills, and I snicker like, yeah, okay, that's cute,
That's called trust money.
But I've
Yeah.
also pulled spare tires out and found cash down there that nobody even knew was there. See,
Drug
every time
money.
I found hidden cash, I just collect it and walk right up into the, where if they're there, I'll walk right up and hint to the person, hey, I found all this cash in your car. Did you know this was here? Even if it is trust money, just to hand it to him with a smile and say, yeah, nice try, and I'm not that guy.
One of my
Here's your
favorite
money.
ones is you'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Yeah.
Usually when somebody says that to you, they ain't got no lawyer.
No.
They have
So,
nothing. They're
What would
just-
happen? Let's say I bring my 7.3 over to Bill Brown, and it's Friday. All of a sudden, Monday rolls around. My 7.3 is nowhere to be found. It got stolen right out of the lot.
Could have
Who's
bought that kill
responsible?
switch.
Is that on the customer or is that on the shop?
That's not
It's
on the
probably
shop.
gonna be it's going to be on insurance, whether or not your insurance wants to fight it for the shop or not.
Yeah, it sounds like both insurance companies would just battle that one out.
Stephen
Well-
B, we appreciate you, buddy.
Well, here's
I-
the thing that a lot of people
Although-
don't know. There's
live
a
in-
law, at least in Michigan, that if the customer wanted to fight it, it could be put on the shop.
Right, but that
And
doesn't mean the shop is it has to go through the legal process. And then if,
Yeah.
so we had 2 local shops where catalytic converters got stolen off the customer's car on the property, but the property is it's open to the public, even though it's private property. So anybody can be on that property at any time. And there are certain spaces where cameras are not there. And if you have an area where everything's built up with customer vehicles and stuff like that, and you have to spill over into these other areas that are deeper away from where most of your parking and stuff's at, you can't control what happens there unless you put more cameras up and there's more expense to the actual dealership. But then even at that, when I was working at Hertz as a diesel tech, we would have upwards of sometimes 7 to 10 vehicles stolen at one time. And a lot of these people, they come in clothed up, dark clothes, masks and stuff on. police don't know what to do. The insurance don't know what to do. Nobody knows what. So you get involved. And obviously these are insurance claims, but you can't catch these people. You can't blame somebody if you don't know who it is or you don't see who it is. So that's why those disclaimers are there. And ultimately the customers did end up eating the cost of having those catalytic converters replaced, because the disclaimers that are on the paperwork state theft, damage, anything that's not inside our vehicle that we can, or inside our facility that we can control, we're not responsible for.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the thing, DS. You have Ford Pass. You can see where your truck's at.
Yes, but I think when they
True.
steal these trucks, they unhook Ford Pass.
You should still be able to see it on the map.
If
They
you
don't have to
on
turn
your
that
phone?
off.
If you unplug the TCU, it's
Yep.
bye-bye.
Yeah, I mean, if you unhook the battery until you hook the battery back in, it's bye-bye.
But I mean, if you're gonna steal a truck, I mean, criminals go through some crazy things to steal vehicles. I mean,
Listen to, I told Aaron about this situation a while ago, and he probably, I don't know if you remember or not. Some of you guys might remember, but we had a Cherry, I'm talking mint condition, 6-liter, dually, two-tone, gorgeous F-350 that had like 40,000 miles on it. It was in mint condition, one owner. The guy traded it in, and the thing was just a gorgeous, gorgeous truck.
Johnny.
Had the pin pad on the door. So the guy trades it in. He gets a newer F-350 dually 6.7, takes off, goes on about his life. A week later, this gorgeous 6-liter sitting out front in the grass on display for everybody that's driving by. At about 5 o'clock in the morning, the cameras pick up a car that drives down the road, goes down the hill, turns around, comes back. We lose him on the other side of the tree line. Can't see who it is. Guy jumps out of the vehicle, runs over. You see him hunker down, but you can't see the car that he got out of. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the car takes off. The guy hunkers down in front of the truck. He slowly tiptoes around the side of it, goes to the back by the license plate, kneels down there for a little bit, 30 seconds or so. Once all the lights clear on the main road, he goes up to the door, pushes something on the pin pad, opens the door up, gets in the truck, and takes off. And this is a matter of like 5 to 7 minutes. This happened so fast and so quick. The dude knew what he was doing, and that truck was gone. They never found that truck. They never figured out who it was. They even got a hold of the previous owner to question him, to be like, how'd this guy get this keypad number and stuff to get in this truck and do all this? Like, what happened?
Them sophisticated computers.
Never figured out a single thing about who it was, how it happened, just gone. Never seen
believe
the
it or
truck
not,
again.
believe it or not, cars get stolen off dealership lots all the time. When my brother got out of the Army, he was working at Ford. I got him a job as a salesman, and he was showing a Explorer, and he puts the keys, or he had the keys, he put the keys back in the key track and everything like that. And the next day they come to my brother. He was standing in my stall asking me a question.
Oh.
And he was like, hey, what happened to that Explorer you had yesterday? He was like, oh, the customer didn't want to buy it. I put the keys back in the key track. And they're like, that Explorer's gone. We can't find it anywhere. They did a key swap. You ever heard of them people doing that? Key swaps?
Mm-mm.
You can buy blank keys off of eBay and all that stuff. They key swapped it.
What?
Yeah.
Damn.
Because
That's
before
some
it was
bullshit.
put back in the track, it was sitting on the desk, which the salesmen are not supposed to do anyway. He set it on the sales manager's desk, and so they swiped the keys to it and did a whole swap. Apparently, they finally found the vehicle like 6 months later in another state.
Ain't that a bean?
We had a customer come in, and I think he had like a 2019 Ram 2500, and he basically traded this truck in, and he bought himself or what he was supposed to have bought was like a Denali 2500, a Duramax. So he trades this thing in. My dealership agrees to pay off his loan, and he ended up with a balance of like $4,000. He said he was going to credit that towards his new truck. They wrote him a check to pay off his loan. He said he had his loan at a small credit union, so they wrote him a physical check. He said he's going to go pay the loan off, and then he's going to open up a new credit account to buy the new truck. They make a deal. Everybody's happy. We all shake hands. And he goes, hey guys, let me run on home and get all my stuff out of this truck, take my toolbox off, and I'll see you guys later. Well, he never came back. The problem was is he dealt with like 2 or 3 different sales guys that sort of put this deal together, so nobody really knew where they were in the process. And he picked up in between sales guys, like picked up on their weaknesses and then played off of it until he convinced these people to give him a $36,000 something check and then let him drive his truck off the lot. They didn't figure out they got scammed for 6 months.
No kidding.
And it was
What?
people not paying attention, and they were outside of the program. You're supposed to have one sales guy, and then you hand him over to finance, and the manager comes by and shakes hands, but you don't let the guy bounce off of 3 or 4 different sales guys. And
See,
that's what he did. And he saw the weakness in it and was like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to trade my truck in after all. I'll just take this $36,000 check and leave. And he never came back.
And that's what happened with my brother. He handed the keys off to the sales manager. Well, and then he puts the keys back in and everything's tracked. Rich, you probably know the keys that are in the key track. They can see how long they've been out, who has them. So they came and questioned my brother and he was like, no, they printed it out. He's like, see, I turned them in. We'll come to find out they actually did do a key swap on it. And it was just one key. All you need is one key to start it. They took off with an Explorer. They actually found it in Florida, Orlando, Florida.
Dang. Oh, what's up, buddy? Appreciate you. Thank you.
I was scrolling Facebook and what's that?
Balls.
Oh, I was on Facebook. This guy got his F450 stolen. He's like, they almost got away with it. They were unplugging all the TCU stuff, and his phone went off. Ford Pass was letting them know that someone was messing with his truck, and then it went offline. And when he got to his truck, it was already taken apart. Within a couple minutes, they had the truck disassembled. They're unplugging stuff so it can't communicate. So yeah, these trucks, they can be stolen.
They can, and they can be stopped.
Here's where the insurance for the dealership does come in. And this is a true story that just happened. We are all public about it. It happens. I was in the shop about 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and there was a platinum F-150, like a 15, 16 model, same body style as mine. But it was all jacked up, nice rims and stuff like that, aluminum body, a new lube tech that we hired, got in the guy's truck. It was an unfamiliar stall where he was doing the services and stuff at. He's not used to backing up in this area. It's a little tighter. It's where vehicles, like where all of us master techs are working on engine stuff, trans stuff, and everything else, where we have these stalls, kind of parts around everything. He goes to back up. He's trying to pay attention, and he didn't see that there was a truck on the rack behind him that was way up in the air. And as he was backing up in this thing, because it throws the mirrors and everything off because it's all jacked up, he's not used to seeing things at a different level. He backs up and backed into the hitch of the truck, the Super Duty that was on the rack behind him, and ripped open the guy's roof on this aluminum roof about 14 inches on the corner of this truck. And that's an aluminum body. And the body shop said, we ain't never going to get that repaired correctly with that aluminum body. We don't have an aluminum welder here. We're literally going to have to do a cab off, and the whole cab on this truck is going to have to get replaced. The insurance covered $15,000 to take this guy's truck apart, put a cab and everything down on there, strip everything down, repaint everything to make it all match. Situations like that where it's inside, it's on camera, we can see what's going on. The dealership is going to cover stuff like that. We have coverages for stuff like that. But when it's something that happens out in the lot, away from everything, we can't see what's going on. There's no record of what's going on. The cameras only record for so long. It only holds data for so long, and you leave your vehicle there for 4, 5, 6 days before you come pick it up. You've already lost all that recording of what could have been there that's not there anymore, and it's recording onto a new day and a new day and a new day. So we don't even know what happened. It could have been an employee that did it. It could have been a random person that came up and stole something from your vehicle. We don't have the capability of recording out that long 24/7. So there are caveats to all this. That's why people sign the paperwork. And that's why when we're done with the vehicles, we don't really like them to sit there for a long period of time. Like when the service is done, make some time to come get your vehicle because there are downfalls to letting it sit there.
Yep. Did that guy get fired?
No. He would, so you know as well as I do that right now it's really, really difficult to get people that are showing up on time, that are doing honest work. And he was a young guy, really wanting to learn, really, really a good kid. And the management was upset with him. They talked to him and stuff like that, but they didn't rip him apart or anything. They said, look, we want a spotter with you at all times now. We normally have a spotter there. Grab one of the techs that are around you, grab another lube tech, have somebody back out. So now we've really tightened up more and more about having somebody watching you back in and out of the stalls all the time now, because that security needs to be there. So no, they worked with him. He improved a lot. He's always asking for help now. Hey, can you watch me back up? Can you watch that ladder on the back of the Super Duty and stuff? Make
That's
sure I don't
good.
hit. So
That
he,
happens.
Good, yeah.
he learned from it, and he's shown over the last couple months real big improvement with his awareness and stuff. It was an expensive lesson learned, and the customer was real cool about it because we put him in another like really nice like Lariat or something F-150 in the meantime, and we took care of the customer, and we didn't hide anything from him. We said, look, we had a guy that screwed up, we're gonna make it right. And then we even threw in some services and stuff on top of it. Like he had like a rattle under the truck that wouldn't go away. A couple techs looked at it. They didn't know what it was. I knew what it was, so I took care of it right away. I fixed
it
the
the
rattle
exhaust
for him.
clamp?
Yeah, it was the exhaust clamp. And it was we took care of him. We made it right, and the guy came in, shook all our hands and stuff, and he was like, "Man, I
Oh, cool.
appreciate that. I appreciate you guys
Yeah.
not trying to hide anything from me and trying to run me around.
Right.
You guys took care of me." And
That's good shit.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
That's what you like to
so
do.
here in Michigan, there's something called the Garage Keepers Liability Act.
Yep.
And basically it says, hey, once you hand that vehicle over and it's in the care of that facility,
Yep.
it's that facility's responsibility to take care of that vehicle. And at the very end of it, it says you cannot sign off liability. It's not valid.
right.
But the thing is, that is only in Michigan. It's not nationwide.
Right. I mean, it's Michigan. Most of the people don't even have insurance.
Well, say you leave your vehicle there. Well, the thing about it is you put your vehicle there, something happens to get stolen. You signed off paperwork that says that the shop's not responsible for whatever happens out on the lot. Car gets stolen off the lot. Are you gonna have the ability to pursue that in court, depending on how much the vehicle is, how much money the vehicle's worth? Because you have to get a lawyer. I don't know. It may not even be
It's all
depending on.
it's all about insurance. That's why when you get an insurance company, you got to make sure what your coverage is. Look at that ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's what insurance is for. You're paying for that. That's why like people will get these cut rate coverages, and like, yeah, you have basic liability, but you know, your car gets stolen or you hit a dog, somebody sues you for vet bills, like, is that going to cover it? Depends
Yeah.
on your policy.
Yeah.
Got to pay to play, right?
Spark plugs.
Yeah.
Bubba says he carries a $2 million garage keeper's liability insurance here in South Carolina.
Well, I know in Ohio, if you can prove you have $1 million in the bank, you can be self-insured.
Damn.
Why you would do that, though? I mean, I would definitely still want insurance because they can cover way more than $1 million.
So you're saying the shop itself would have a garage keeper liability insurance policy?
I have a garage keeper's liability policy. Just for the cars. Like if one gets stolen, lift falls over, the place comes down, like it's extra insurance.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Peace of mind. Peace of
I don't
mind.
want to buy somebody a car because the bolts for the fell out and the thing fell over.
Right. I don't blame you. Who would?
We had somebody ask to help fix his heated seats. And I need to know a year. 2 reasons. Aluma duties, we have these things called teddies. Anybody know what a teddy is?
Mhm.
Teddies? You know what a teddy is, Ford Boss?
Oh yeah.
I think my girlfriend wears.
Ooh,
Thermal electric device.
they are in the seat back and the booty. If there is a problem with those, they will turn on. 2017, hammer down, talking to you. They will turn on and immediately turn off. When we watch the PIDs, we'll see them increase, go, 150, 160, boom, and then bim, 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 and go all back down. And you hear the relay click off underneath the passenger front seat. So what hammer down trucking needs to do, two things. He's either going to need to take it in, or he's going to need to get a scan tool, one of which, if you do not have, I'd highly recommend you to go to forescan.org, get Forescan. That way, you'll be able to access the seating control module and look at the seat back TED, the seat bottom TED, and you'll be able to see the temperature. So you turn the heated seats on. If the back gets 180 degrees and the back or the bottom turned on and clicked off, well, your bottom TED is probably the faulted one. So I have a video doing a driver's seat back. Not too bad. The seat bottom's essentially the same thing. But Forescan definitely definitely the go-to on that. If you guys don't have a scan tool on that one, it's real important because you can go to HSCAN, MSCAN, and some of the dongles you plug in. Well, I can only pull ECU codes. Well, you need to go deeper than that. So
Cam works good too.
I have a video right now that's becoming really popular. Same concept as the Super Duties, except Platinum Explorer. The customer states my heated seat bottom won't work, but my back, it does work. And sometimes the back won't work at all. And every once in a while, even the cooled portion of it won't work. And I'm going through the system and I'm applying my own power to the circuit under the seat, and the TEDs, it would start to turn on, but then the bottom one would malfunction. The back would start to get hot and the bottom one wouldn't. And then I could make them both cool, but the bottom one wouldn't get hot. So I backtrack through the connectors, across the floor, over into the passenger side, pull the plastic away from you guys know the rodeo, pull the plastic away, check the connectors there. Still not what I need. Go across the dash, under the steering column, way up underneath it for a freaking connector that somebody's put somewhere that's seems like it's an act of Congress or God that you need to get this thing unplugged and out of there. And then I'm still losing it there, make my way out to the battery junction box, and there's only one section of wire left, and it's the one that went to the main connector at the firewall that I just had trouble unplugging because it's in a really, really, really bad spot. And I disassemble it there, and there's only that section through the firewall to the battery junction box. And I pull apart the fuse box, and underneath the fuse box, there's quick connectors. There's whole connectors. I unplug the connector, and I'm looking down inside of it, and the main power pin that feeds that entire circuit, it just burnt the hell up in the pin all the way up through the box. So now not only do you need a harness, you need the box assembly and stuff as well. You're not fixing that. So insurance came in, they seen everything that was going on. They approved an entire engine harness that goes across the front of the vehicle, goes through the fuse box, goes through the firewall, and then the harness inside the dash then goes over to the assembly underneath the seats and stuff. And I got everything hooked up, all the whole new harness and stuff in, was confident that everything was going to work, but I was still questioning that TED underneath the seat. So I left some room for replacing the TED as well. money wise. So everything comes online. All the seats are working now. Everything cool. There's no delay. There's no lagging or anything that's going on, but I still cannot get the seat bottom on the driver's side to turn on. I replaced that thermal electric device. Everything works like it's brand spanking new. That one single $120 or whatever, $130 unit was malfunctioning so bad, and there was so much resistance going on. How it the overheat temperature. Basically, they set a code for something to do with overheat temperature. They start to degrade. They're just not. Lack of airflow and stuff underneath. People kick stuff under their seats. It gets sucked up to the TED. It can't cool itself properly. A lot of people shove jumper cables, and kids will kick their shoes and toys and bags and stuff underneath.
And
there.
not to mention all the smelly farts just erode that whole component away. Come on.
I had a
And-
Transit do the same thing. It was just the blower that's underneath the passenger or the driver's seat. It was just slam full of stuff, man.
Yeah,
And it fried it.
it will if you don't keep those seats clear of debris and stuff, and I recommend not storing anything under those seats at all. Keep it nice and neat and tidy under there, because they rely on airflow to keep all that stuff cool. And I replaced that TED and everything came back online. But my thing to the owner of the vehicle was, I noticed you had a plastic bag underneath there and it was sucked up to the bottom of the seat. I noticed that you had some like kids' toys and stuff back there. You got to keep all that stuff out of there. You got to keep it away from the seat completely. It needs airflow. The back needs airflow. And that TED ended up consistently overheating. And instead of it burning up at the connector underneath or through the assembly, it burned up at the fuse box, and it did not pop the fuse. You would think that with that much resistance or complication with that circuit, the fuse would have popped. That doesn't happen all the time, though. When you got a big 30 amp fuse in circuit for something like that, and you got a small wire, a lot of times the wire will degrade and the connection will burn up before the fuse will pop.
I have a video we just did. I'm doing it right now. Great key grip and lighting assistant. Just filmed a steel body. If you guys are having heated seat issues on your steel bodies, just kind of like what Fort Boss was saying with these burned pins, you might want to check this out, because it was slick. And I think DS learned something. It was how could you say it, DS? What did you say in quote? I quote DS, I am the ace in the hole, end quote. He was the man.
What did I do on that? I didn't do anything on that job. Hold the camera.
No, yeah, just looking pretty. I think you had yeah. There was a couple of hours you had just one shoe on,
Perfect.
and then you had your feet just out. Your feet just out.
A little to the left. It's only 'cause you
Anybody
got
want
one
to come
foot
help me
wrong.
do a turbo tomorrow?
I mean, we
There
can
are
bang that thing out.
there are some nuances that come along with these heated seats as well. Like, they're not always just clean cut and dry.
Mhm.
I had a guy drop off. It was an F-150 or Super Duty or something. Same principle, older one though. Programming is a little bit different. The front control interface module needs to send a 12-volt signal when you say, I want heated seats, over to the IPC. The IPC, your instrument cluster, needs to see that you're commanding that you want heated seats, or you're requesting, let's say requesting you need heated seats. It then takes a signal and sends it over to the PCM saying that I need this, this, and this. Well, the signal was getting sent, but, and this can apply for anything, not just heated seats, air conditioning, anything. The signal was getting sent via a multimeter. You can see that there's 12.6 volts or whatever 12-point or battery voltage being sent over to the IPC. But that circuit, that the driver inside that front control interface module was not able to supply enough load for the IPC to see that you wanted something done. So you could see 12 volts there, you could see battery voltage there, operating voltage there, But when you took a simple incandescent test light and grounded it out and tested for some kind of current on that circuit, it would not even light an incandescent test light. When you load test the wire going from the IPC over to the front control interface module, it would load test fine. You could light a 3157 off of it. The wire was good. The connections were good. It was the driver in the module itself that was faulty. It was not able to do what it was supposed to do. And this had went through 3 other technicians and multiple other shops before it came to my shop. I had to replace the front control interface module in order to get this man's system back online. So it's not always easy, like check your connection, check this, check that. Sometimes it is, but a lot of times it does have to go to somebody like me or Chris or Aaron or Anthony or CP to get this broke down, because it can be very, very complicated sometimes.
It is a big pain in the butt. But when you get to the end, it's always the best, because you feel like you've conquered. And it sometimes we get so in depth, like, oh my gosh, 2 hours went by?
Yeah.
What? And I'll have to call Ford boss. I called him the other day, or I gotta call Cody, bounce something off him, or a bearded Ford tech. It's I mean, we're all in the same situation, and we all have the same goal. So I see things that Ford boss may not see, vice versa, with all of us. So it's really nice to have a community that we could just literally pick up the phone, like, dude, I need help. Dude,
The bread truck.
I need to phone a friend.
Remember the bread truck? I'm out there freaking out. I'm like, dude, I've never worked on one of these bread trucks. I don't know the fuse panel. And you were like, wait a second, calm down. What are you dealing with? And tell me. I was like, well, the odometer's not showing up. They put their own cluster and stuff in. The odometer's not there. And I've never worked on one of these. And you're like, look, calm down. Look over here. Look at this fuse. I've already dealt with this stuff before. And I look down there and I'm like, oh, there it is. The ace in the hole, Aaron.
Rod, what about that vibration in the ambulance?
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Remember
Well,
when I told you, when I video chatted you yesterday? I had a F-150 do the same thing, and it was actually the brake rotor where it didn't have the counterbalance cut out.
Wow.
Well, I haven't changed the brakes. I haven't changed the pinion flange. Those are the only things left that are spinning, that would be spinning that fast.
Just throwing it
Yeah.
out there.
I did see you do that. Who helped you with that? I remember seeing your video on that.
What?
Who?
Bearded Ford Tech.
Which video?
You were talking about the brake rotor, and then it had maybe we talked about that on a live stream. I don't remember where I saw you talking about that.
Might have been a live stream, because this was back in like 2016. I had
You were
major-
showing it?
Yeah, it was a vibration coming from the back of the truck, and they put tires on it, and then Quick Loop put tires on it, and the vibration was still there. They ended up going through, we ended up putting an axle in it, but obviously used the same brakes. Vibration was still there. They call field service engineer. Finally, a couple days later, he comes out. 10 minutes, the dude found it. He was like, yeah, change the brake rotors, because it didn't have the groove cut out for the counterbalance or whatever. I forgot the technical term for it, but we changed both brake rotors and brake pads, and the vibration was gone. So
Damn.
that's the first for me. I've never come across that again.
Mr. Forge, I would request them to not, if you don't want.
Rich, I
Can
do have a
request.
question for you though.
Yeah.
The 10R80. I had a subscriber ask me, I haven't come across this one yet. It's only happening seventh gear, or when he goes to pass, he gets a vibration in the back of the truck. It's almost like a shudder is what he said it feels like, but it's only 7th gear, which is the 1-to-1 ratio, and when he's trying to pass somebody. Other than that, it doesn't do it.
I mean, that could all be tied into all the other problems that we're having, that we're having with the 10R80s. It's, I mean, I hate to say it, but 99.9% of the time it's the CDF drum or it's the valve body. I mean, it's almost every single time that's what it comes back to.
And that's what I said, like, because he said he took it to the dealer and they said they couldn't duplicate the problem and they sent him on his way. And
Yeah.
I asked him, does it do it hot? Does
Typical.
it do it cold? He said it mostly does it when it's cold, but when the fluid is up to temp, like he's been driving all day, it only does it in 7th gear or higher,
Yeah.
or
I mean,
when he
and
goes to pass somebody.
that's why most of, even our main trans guys, almost every time he'll call me over, hey, look at this, hey, look at this, hey, look at this. It's always CDF drum or valve body issue.
Man,
I was thinking valve body because that little plunger that goes in there, and you know how you can pull it out and you can actually see where it's been scraping on the inside of the valve body.
Yeah.
You know,
It'll score inside there and chew it up.
mhm. Yep.
Have
And
you
that's
guys
what I told him to check.
have you guys had any noise on the 10 speed on cold start? Makes like a knocking noise almost.
normal.
Mine's doing that. That's just normal.
Yeah.
Is it on remote start? Because that's actually, what is it? The drum?
As
Is
soon
that
as
what it was?
as soon as it gets all the way hot, it stops.
Mine don't make any noise. I mean,
The
The
other
drum
10 speeds
deal,
I had, the other 10 speeds never made the noise.
the drum deal was just on start. Like it would
It
have
was
that
diesel
initial.
though.
Yeah, but this is I think what DS is explaining is different than that.
yeah. This what I'm talking about is like on the F-150s, it would like clunk when you remote start it.
Yeah, that's CDF drum related. And
Yeah.
I was talking to the trans guy about it. And when I was talking to him, he said, no, man, if you actually read through the description and operation in the workshop manual, it talks about priming and engaging the CDF drum in the transmission, and you can experience that initial clunk, and that is a normal characterization of that transmission.
Wow.
Mine also shifts pretty hard into drive. If
Oh, really?
Yeah, if I start up the truck and don't give it a good amount of time to,
Warm up.
it depends. If it doesn't just, you can't start it up and throw it in drive. You got to let it idle down, obviously. But
Yeah, let it come off high idle.
yeah,
But that's one of the things that we talked about before, though. If you guys remember, I think Aaron brought it up or Cody brought it up, and we were talking about it, and that was what was it, an SSM or something like that, that said when you start that vehicle up, you need to actually let it run for a second before you take off, because
Yep.
it's still
Yeah.
priming the torque converter, and it's still kind of regulating itself to even start to move. I keep it simple, and I don't try to explain everything to the people when they ask me about that. They're like, why does it clunk when I'll start it up and I'll go to shift out a park and leave my
you
house
got to
to
give
go
it
to
a
work.
second.
Yeah, you got to give it some time, because it says something about priming the torque converter, and I don't know, something else.
So this is the first vehicle that needed this much time with a 7.3. Even my 6.7 diesel with the 10 speed, I never had it slam into drive, but it's just a matter of giving this truck a little more time to
Let
idle
it come
down.
off a high idle and then put it in reverse or drive. You shouldn't have that problem. I always let mine come off high idle before I go anywhere.
I mean,
Yeah.
these transmissions are finicky now, man. The more we're wanting out of them, the more we're packing stuff in them, the more we're gonna have problems like this. And it's just the other day, it was I was in the shop, and the trans tech, he yelled, and he went to start the vehicle, and the engine looked like it was jumping out of the engine bay. And he was like, "Whoa!" And I was like, "What the heck? What's wrong with you?" And he said, "Come over here. I'm going to start this thing back up for you." And he went to go start it up, and the engine rocked forward and like lunged up like it was trying to break the motor mounts, and it came back down. And I was like, "What the hell?" And he was like, "I need to start disassembling this thing now. I can't even pull it outside." So he put it up in there, pulled the valve body and stuff out of it, laid the valve body down on the bench. And as he was looking, he was like, "What the heck is wrong with the valve right there?" He pulled the keeper out of the end of it, and the spring had sheared off and rotated down into the lower half of the spring, and was not able to stay front seated in that valve body, and was allowing fluid to bypass on startup. And it was full line pressure, and it would just lunge and cause that transmission to try to engage while it was in park and just jam into itself, and the engine would come roaring up out of the engine bay.
Didn't that happen in like 2015, 2016 with the 250s, where it was they had a recall, if I'm not mistaken, where you tried to put it in park and it still wanted to go because it was missing the spring or the spring was sheared.
I'm not sure. I wasn't really working on a lot of the diesel stuff that I work on now back then.
Do you recall that, Aaron?
Oh, I just glitched out there on the screen. No.
It's still
No.
one, and I'm not saying it wanted to drive, it just wanted to lunge, like Rich is talking about. It was something about one of the springs or like a little check valve or something like that.
No,
I
the-
wasn't working on diesels at the time.
The only thing that I've had is when doing the 10R140s, people saying that put it down into drive or go from drive to park, you know, coon, 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 coon. But not all, but I've had the majority be fixed with trans, adaptive strategy, clear out, clear cam, and I like to make sure that the TCM's up to the latest calibration. But I got one waiting for a trans. It's got like 31,000 miles on it. Kind of a bummer, but
We have one right now that won't go into reverse. It's not a Super Duty. It's not that. So I don't want to get into too much conversation on it, because I know most of the people here on Super Duties, if it's the first one that I've ever seen where you shift it into reverse, it won't go into reverse. You shift it into drive, it won't go into drive, but you put it in neutral and it will start to pull forward. And it feels like the trans is binding. You can try to put it in, you can try to find a sweet spot between drive and neutral, and it will never fully go into neutral. And as you're shoving the vehicle backwards, you can hear the trans grinding and jumping on top of the rotating assembly itself, like something inside the trans is just shattered or broken. So there's been a lot of weird transmission issues lately that we normally don't see, that are just coming out of nowhere, like 2017 to like 2020, 2021, just out of nowhere.
I agree.
Well, you bought the 6-speed, so that says a lot.
That sounds like the spring that holds the clutch pack together on the hub is broken. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I mean, it could be.
It's like it's not seated all the way in and they break. Actually, Flying Wrenches had that. He did a video on that. It was the same issue.
I bought the 6-speed because I didn't want the problems of all the 10-speed. And I know that the 6-speed is
Word.
Is a beast.
sound for me. I love what I have now, and I don't want anything else.
Well, I think this would be where we cut it off, and I want to leave you with this because I thought this was kind of funny. Brandon Powerstroke. He's the last one to be on the front line tonight. What's a phone book? What's Yellow Pages? When is the last time somebody told you to go look up a phone number in the Yellow Pages? Brother,
1992.
thanks for rekindling some nostalgia. I hope,
They
you
still
guys,
have Yellow Pages.
I hope you guys all have a great night. Rain Man, we got Banks, Ford Boss, or should I say, Marty Moose. Marty Moose. We'll just call him Moose. Moose, Bearded Ford Tech. Appreciate you. DS. I cannot. Everybody, hand to DS. Full episode. Awake. Hasn't been nodding. Man, everybody, give it up for DS. Go visit his channel. Give it up for DS. And then CP lurking. I like it.
And did we forget Rain Man?
Oh, he right there.
Yeah, I'm
Daddy
right here.
Diesel.
I'm still here.
Howdy.